I don't know who this character is on the magazine they gave me. The plan that I understood was to talk about the family between me and the therapist for half an hour to you folks. I'd like to tell you why that made the hair in the back of my neck stand up. First, I want to tell you how frightened I was of this meeting when I woke at 3 o'clock this morning and figured out all the things I wanted to say, none of which I can remember now. But I hope you will stay frightened. I think if you aren't frightened at meeting a new family or going in for an interview with an old family, you need to ask for a consultant. And I'll tell you something about why that is. The difference between the family, the patient, and the therapist is the difference between a real person and a fake. We are deliberate, role-structured actors. We are not real people in our function as therapists. We do it on purpose. We do it artificially. And one of the dangers of being a therapist is the temptation to adopt patients. And that is very sad, and I think a serious mistake, and will speed your coronary by 20%. So the important thing is to stay aware that you are artificial, that you should be afraid, that you should recognize the fact that you're always the one who fails. The family, the patient, never fails. We fail to make it with them, and that's our problem, and we must take responsibility for it. I want to tell you something about today. First of all, this is not family therapy you're going to see. This is a consultation. The therapist who has been working with this family is, to use my metaphor, the mother, the person who cares and cares and cares, the person who nurtures, who tries to help. The consultant is another therapist who is therapist to the process of a relationship between the therapist and the family. I guess I need to say that I believe the family is an organism, not a series of individuals. I go further than that. I don't even believe there are any such things as individuals. I think individuals are just fragments of a family. But our role, his role as therapist, is that of being, if you want to use another metaphor, the one I often use because I was first trained as a surgeon, is that he's the anesthetist and I come in as the surgeon. And that's very unique, different experience. If you've never been a consultant, you ought to work out a plan with some other actor on the stage we call family therapy, so that you can be the consultant. You can be the father who comes in after mother's been taking care of the family all day long, and put in your 2 cents, and then walk out and mother does the hard work again the next day, of course, usually paying no attention to what you did. But you may be very useful to the family, to the patient, because you're more intellectually competent, you're much more creative, and you're much less imprisoned by the responsibility, the sense of empathy, the sense of belonging that the therapist is stressed by and stuck with. So this will be a consultation. The other thing that I wanted to say was I didn't want to talk behind the family's back, because I want them to have the experience of hearing the voice tones and the muscle function of the therapist when he talks to me about them in front of them. The best metaphor I have for that is that it's like you're listening to your father talk to the man next door about your tennis game. You believe it in a different way. It's a different distance. It's a different quality of communication. So that I want all the comments the therapist makes to me about the family, something they can listen to, because I think then they hear him in a much different way. My concept of our roles, his and mine, is that he is a foster parent. And it's a very unique idea, this that I've become quite excited about the last couple of years, the foster parent idea. It's time-bound. It means that we are both artificial in this sense, but the foster child, of course, is much less artificial than the foster mother and the foster father. But the relationship between the foster father and the foster mother is unique, and it's different in generation. It also raises the fascinating idea that the single-parent family is a psychological delusion. Our culture is evolving. There is no such thing as a single-parent family. There are, so far, until the women get to cloning children, there are always two parents. Now the question of one being deserted, or one being kicked out, or one taking over is very frightening to me, because it involves a peculiar kind of generation distortion in which the older person, the mother, makes believe she's the same generation as the child, and the child makes believe he's the same generation as his mother, if you can use the usual pattern. And that becomes a very sick kind of flip, and a very uncomfortable and unfortunate problem for each of them. As a matter of fact, if I go crude for the moment, I think of it as psychological incest, cross-generational intimacy that does not belong in the healthy family that I dream about. I assume that his summary will last for 10 minutes or so, and that he will not be responsible for anything I do. He's free to tell them that he had no idea what I was going to do, and he will take no responsibility for it. And had he only known about it, he would never have spoken to me again. Questions you'd like to ask me or about what this is all about?
I have no questions right now.
Good. Wish us luck. Let me say that very seriously. This is to me at least, a creative experience. It is not pre-planned. I hope that it will work. I'm very aware that it may be a complete dud. And I want you to know that I have reverence for the family. I am an alien in every family I meet with. There's no way you can belong. There's no way they can trust me. There's no way I can trust them. And it's a question of how much each of us is willing to take a chance. That's become also fascinating to me, the whole idea of trust. That's ridiculous. There is no such thing. If you aren't paranoid, you don't know the score. So I ask your support and wish us luck.